If you're planning a trip to Frederick, Maryland, whether that be for a vacation or because you're planning on moving here and you want to know what it's all about, you're probably wondering how to make best use of your time here. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a full day of things to do in Frederick, Maryland from a local's perspective so that you can make the best possible use of your time, hit all of the important things, and really know if this city is right for you. So let's just jump right into it. Hey everyone, my name is Eddie Brady and I'm a realtor here in Maryland, and I make videos like this every single week about the best places to move in Maryland, what you should know, the market updates, and everything in between. So if this is your first time visiting the channel, thank you for being here, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. All right, so day one is going to start on the first full day you have in Frederick. So if you get in late on a Friday, don't start this until Saturday morning. And the first thing you're going to do is either drive or walk into downtown, depending on where you're staying, and go to Market Street. And you're going to be looking for the Bak House at 69 South Market Street. And you need to get here early. I'm talking 8 or 9 a.m. at the very latest. They open at 8 a.m. and when they're sold out, they are done for the day, and they sell out every single day of the weekend. They're only open Friday through Sunday, and they have the best handcrafted pastries in the entire city, in my opinion. If you look on Google, they have 4.9 stars, and really it's no surprise once you go there. And if you're not sure what to get, my favorite is the cinnamon morning bun. I mean, you really can't go wrong with this, and they're huge. You can split them easily with another person, but I would recommend boxing those up, and if you're a coffee drinker, heading a little farther north up Market Street and making a right on East 5th Street, and you'll end up at Gravel and Grind Coffee. And they have a 4.9 star rating on Google as well. And yes, their coffee really is that good. But that's not the only great thing about this spot. I also like that it has some of the best parking in the city. They have their own parking lot and a ton of indoor and outdoor seating. Whereas some places in Frederick, they don't have a lot of indoor seating. You have to park on the street or park in a parking garage. So if you're worried about that, I know when I go to a new city, I'm always worried about where I'm going to park. And you don't have to worry about that if you go to this coffee shop. All right, so now that you're all fueled up, it's time to explore Frederick City a little more. And if you're into history, you're in luck, because Frederick is rich in both Revolutionary War history and Civil War history. And one of the cool things about Frederick is it was the home of Francis Scott Key, the author of our national anthem, and he's currently buried in Frederick at Mount Olivet Cemetery. And if you go by there, there's a really cool monument in his name, and it's just a cool site to check out. And as far as Civil War history goes, there are a ton of spots all across Frederick that you can check out. I mean, there's museums, there's battlefields, and I recommend going to Monocacy Battlefield. It's one of the biggest sites in Frederick as far as Civil War history goes, and it's run by the National Park Service. It's a really cool place to go. They have multiple locations around it to visit as well. So if you're a history buff, you're going to have a lot of fun here. All right, so after you visited those two sites, or say you skip them because you're not into history at all, but you want to check out the outdoors in and around Frederick, I have two great options for you. And the first one is a really cool spot called Gambrill State Park, and this is its own little mountain on the west side of Frederick, and it has a ton of hiking options here, from 1 mile long trails up to 7-mile loops. And there's also a roadway that goes all the way to the top of the mountain to the overlook, and the views are incredible. This mountain is the start of the Appalachian mountain chain, also known as the Blue Ridge Mountains out here, and the views are incredible, and it's worth the visit whether you're hiking or not. And if you're feeling a little more adventurous, you can head just 30 minutes to the north to Catoctin Mountain Park, and this is a really cool spot. It's the home of Cunningham Falls, which is the biggest waterfall in the area. It's also the spot where you can hike to Chimney Rock, which is one of the best overlooks in this mountain chain, and there's so many options to hike and mountain bike here, and it's a pretty cool spot. It's right next to Camp David, so if you're there on a weekend, you're likely to see the president's helicopters flying right over you. All right, so you've got your outdoor activities out of the way, you're working up an appetite, and it's time for lunch. So you go back into downtown Frederick, and this is where it gets really good. Frederick has so many places to eat that it's hard to choose from, but just to make it simple here, I'm thinking of sandwiches for lunch. Obviously, there's a ton of sit-down restaurants where you could have a lot more, but some of the best sandwiches in the city are at South Market Sandwich Company. It's one of the best Italian subs I've ever had. It's at 105 South Market Street. Definitely recommend checking that out. And if you're into vegetarian options, you would just head up to 4 East Patrick Street to Cafe Nola, some of the best vegetarian options in town, and you can't go wrong with either of these places. Now, if you're like my wife and I, now's the time that you would go back to your Airbnb, sit on the couch, regroup, and if you didn't have a plan, you'd be searching on your phone wondering what to do for the rest of the day. But don't worry, I've got you covered for that as well. Now is the time to dive back into downtown to see what it really has to offer. Now, most of the restaurants, the shops, the stores downtown in Frederick are right off of Market Street and the streets directly around it. So if you're going to go into downtown and you're driving a car, rather than parking on the actual streets on Market Street, which can be very difficult, I have a pro tip for you here, and there's two parking spots that I highly recommend, and both are going to give you pretty cool perspectives of the city. And the first is on the outside of Baker Park on the west side of downtown. All of the parking here is free, and the benefit of parking here is that you get to walk through Baker Park, which is the biggest park in the city, and see a lot of cool things on the walkways all the way up to downtown, like the covered bridge or the bell tower. Just a really cool spot to park. And again, it's free, and you're going to have no problem finding parking in this area to get into downtown. And the second parking spot is a true locals parking spot. I'm sharing it with you because I want you to have a great experience in Frederick, but not many people know about this unless they're from the area, and that's parking right by the Attaboy Brewery on the east side of Frederick, just off of Carroll Creek Linear Park. And this is a really cool spot because you have to walk on Carroll Creek Linear Park to get into downtown Frederick. And if you've watched any of my other videos on Frederick, you know that I talk about Carroll Creek Linear Park all the time, and that's because it's one of the coolest places in the entire state of Maryland as far as downtowns go, and it's so unique. It's a Riverwalk style pathway on either side of Carroll Creek, the same creek that runs through Baker Park. So if you park on that side, it's the same waterway that goes through, but the Carroll Creek Linear Park is fully paved. It's really cool. There's bridges all across it. There's distilleries, there's restaurants. It's also the biggest spot in the city for all of the city's events. So you cannot miss this if you're going to be visiting downtown. So either spot you decide to park, you're going to make your way into downtown Frederick on Market Street and start checking out all the really cool local shops and stores. And this is going to take you a little while. It could take you a couple hours to really explore everything. But after you've worked up your appetite again for dinner, I highly recommend going to one of the most popular spots in Frederick for dinner, which is Thatcher and Rye. And that's because this restaurant is run by the Voltaggio brothers, which, if you aren't familiar, they were made famous by the show Top Chef. And that's the thing about the Frederick restaurant scene, is it is blowing up in recent years. There's some amazing chefs in downtown Frederick that are turning this restaurant scene into one of the best in the entire state. And Thatcher and Rye is a spot you absolutely have to check out for dinner when you're in Frederick. But if you're looking for something other than American food, I have two great spots to check out. Just head right into the heart of downtown at East Patrick Street and Market Street, and you're going to find Buredo Cuba, which is some of the best authentic Cuban food in the entire area, and also Lazy Fish, which is the best sushi in Frederick, in my opinion, and you can't go wrong with either of those two options as well. And after dinner, if you're looking for some fun things to do without going to an actual movie theater, something that's actually local to Frederick, then you could go right downtown to the Weinberg Center, which is within walking distance of either of those restaurants I just mentioned. And this is the historic theater in Frederick that has a ton of live shows and performances, and you can see what they have playing that night and see if it's something you're into. Or if you want to go right to the heart of downtown to the Sherlock escape room, that's also a really fun thing to do in downtown. If you've never done an escape room, it's worth trying out. But if you want to skip the entertainment and just have a nice, relaxing drink somewhere in Frederick, it's known for its craft brewery scene. There's 4 just on Carroll Creek Linear Park alone, and any of the 60+ restaurants and bars in town are a great place to grab a drink as well. There's also the Wine Kitchen on Carroll Creek, which is a really popular spot, so plenty of options if you're looking for that. So that's it, a full day in Frederick, Maryland. And if this is not something that you're into, you want other options around the area, there are plenty of other things to do in and around Frederick. And if you're not from this area and you're going to be here for an extended weekend, you have to go down to DC and check out our nation's capital and a ton of other fun things to do in the area. So if that's you, if you're looking for more to do other than what I just mentioned in this video, reach out to me and I would be happy to send you some options. And if you're considering a move to Frederick or the surrounding areas, I would be happy to help you with your move. That is what I'm here for. So my contact information is listed below, and you can also go into the link in the description or in the comments below and schedule a one-on-one consultation with me, and I'll get a plan together for your move. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you stay up to date on all of my videos about moving to Maryland.